This week, I'm going to show you how I installed that door and got really hot, sweaty, and sunburned. Woo! As mentioned in the previous video, the door is a standard off-the-shelf kind of household door. This is a 30-inch by 80-inch door. It has fiberglass panels. We've got a half-light dual pane window, and then the interior core is polyurethane foam. One reason why I got this particular brand, this is a Therma-Tru door, is they offered this composite wood frame. So this is not actually real wood, this is like a plastic sawdust mixture, so it won't rot, and in case of a leak, that's a really good thing. The first step in installing the door is going to be marking out the rough opening. You can see I've kind of already done that here, these lines. So I used kind of a combination of finding out where stuff was in the inside. You can see I made a little cut here with an angle grinder just to kind of see where I was. And then I based my bottom line off of that and then put up the verticals. So let's go ahead and get started cutting out that rough opening. There's literally nothing unsafe about what I'm doing. Nothing unsafe. Super safe. Now, I'm just going to send it. So that's how you make your rough opening hole. Be careful with the angle grinder on the ladder. After you get your rough opening cut out, what you're going to want to do is build a sill. What I've done here is I've taken a piece of track, cut it to length, kind of cut, so I've got some little ears here that I can rivet down, and then I've taken some pieces of stud to space them appropriately so that it's at the right height for the entry. Now, right now I've got two of these little stud spacers supporting this, but if someone were to step here, put a lot of weight here, this would collapse. So what I'm going to do before I leave for the day is I've drilled holes, 3 holes right here into each of these little open chambers underneath, and I'm going to fill this with spray foam before I leave. And the idea is that that'll reinforce this little step area and give it some support, and all the excess will flow out of these gaps here, and I can just trim all that off real easily. So let's go get the spray foam and put it in. Foam is in. As you can see, I got the areas kind of underneath the sill, and I got that little gap. So we're going to let that dry, and we'll come back tomorrow and cut it all off. Alright, it's day 2. The foam is dry. We're going to slice it, and then we'll flash tape this. Let's get started. Boom, beautiful. Well, let's do the rest. There's the finished product. Remember, always keep your knife on the maximum danger setting for awesomeness. I forget if I covered framing or not already or not, but obviously you got to frame out the door. You know, if you watched the last video, you saw I was using the metal stud construction style, and for the door, just to give it a little extra strength, I went ahead and took some pressure treated 2x4s and shoved them down some studs, some of the metal studs, to kind of reinforce them and kind of hook those up. Anyway, that's pretty self-explanatory. I went ahead and started putting in the flashing tape. So you can see here I'm using Zip System. This is 6-inch wide flashing tape. It comes on a roll like this. You can get it from Amazon. This is some of the top ranked flashing tape. So you basically just cut pieces to length. Start with the bottom. So cut a piece that's like, you know, a little bigger than your rough opening. Put that on the outside surface. Slice down the edges with the razor blade, and then fold it over and adhere to the surface. And then I did the same thing with each of the sides. So after this, I just got to do the top section here, and then we'll be pretty much ready to put the door in. I did some rethinking of the door framing after I RTFM'd the door installation instructions, and there are some spots on the door where I actually need to screw through the jamb pretty close to the outside face. And so what I did is I went ahead and removed the steel studs from this section because they just didn't fit in these poofed out edges here. You can see where I've hammered it down to make the stud fit. They kind of messed up the spacing between the the wall here and the stud. So now that I've taken that out, I can fit pretty comfortably and tightly a 1.5 inch by 1 inch piece of lumber here. And so I'm going to do that, and then we'll probably screw through the the sheet metal to once again help secure this. This is just screwed into this board right here at the top and at the bottom down there. So I'm going to do something similar for this side. You can see I've already taken out the metal stud, and I've just got the wood stud left. So I'm going to go get another 1.5 by 1 chunk of lumber and some more flashing tape, and we'll get this framing done. So I ended up having to go to the hardware store to get some more flashing tape. Since I took the metal studs off the edge, I needed some more flashing tape. So while I was there, I saw that they had composite 2x2s, which happened to be the same size as this little board that I'm using here. Where is it at? There it is. This board here. So I went ahead and got some of that. So I'm going to replace, I've already done one side of the frame with this. You can see I kind of countersunk the holes and put a screw in there just to fix it. So we're going to do the same side to the same thing to the other side of the door, and then we'll flash it, throw the pan in, and install the door. Here's what I ended up making for the other side of the framing. This is the side that the door locks on. So I took one of those 2x2 pieces of composite, attached that to a 2x4, and then I put this little 1x2 on top, with the thinking that if the screws of the threads of the screws that go into the composite, if they don't catch real well in the composite, they should come through and hit that wood and give us a little more meat to bite onto with the threads. So it'll be nice and secure. Alright, we got one side in. We have the new flashing tape on there. You can see it here from the outside. I just kind of overlapped the white flashing tape with the black flashing tape. No big deal. So next we'll do this side. The door fits. So we're doing a test fit of the door here. And you can see it sits in the pan real nicely. There's a little bit of a gap there, but not that big of a deal. I went ahead and installed the sill pan. The sill pan has a caulk or Proflex RV all underneath it, and then I added the head stud here. So it's just screwed in with two big ass fucking screws. And yeah, it fits. It's real nice. We've got maybe, let's see, there's a little bit of a gap here. There you go, on this edge. And a little bit on this edge, but not too much. We can easily seal that with spray foam. So the door install as a whole is looking real good. Let's go outside and see it. And here's what it looks like from the outside. It looks beautiful. So it fits real nice. It looks like it's going to seal well. Really only steps left are to take the door back out, flash the top, and then we can put it back in and seal everything. So to finish the door, right, the brick mold that's on there now doesn't really fit with the overall style of the truck, being a military vehicle. So what I'm going to do is take the brick mold off. I have some 1/8 inch by 3 inch aluminum, flat plate, bar stock, whatever you want to call it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use this to go between the interior frame, so the edge of the aluminum will line up here, and it'll extend over here. And what I'll do is I'll rivet up this seam on the aluminum, and I'll screw into the wood door frame, and that should effectively bridge the area between the door and the aluminum skin of the box. So we'll see you when that happens. Alright, I forget where we left off, but you may notice I've ripped out the door and all the framing that goes with it. Well, when I got to looking at it, stuff just wasn't sitting right. I think I fucked up. And so I think you can see that in this photo. That was the left board that was on this side, and it's pretty darn warped. So I went to the store. I got some nice boards that aren't warped, and I put some water treatment on them so in case they get wet. And I've got one side done, and it looks, just a hell of a lot better. I'm going to re-flash it, put some new flashing tape over it because that's garbage that's on there. But let's go ahead and get the other side done, and then get the door back in. Well, boys and girls, excuse me. Who are we kidding? There ain't any girls watching this. Hey guys, the door is finally in. Like I said in the last clip, I had to redo the framing. So I redid the framing. Door fits a lot nicer now. It's a lot more square. So I've gone in, I've shimmed it with these composite shims. And then I use these big 3-inch wood screws all around the frame to attach everything. And if we take a look at the door, I installed some hardware and everything shuts real nice. I'm a little concerned. I don't know if you can see this in the video. The gap up here is a little bigger than the gap down here. Well, there is no gap down there. And so I'm hoping once I get the deadbolt in, it'll pull the door in just a little bit more and compress that corner seal up there so it sits nice. Well, there you have it. The door is installed. I'm glad that's done. That was a huge and very painful, tedious job. Next up, I've got one more window to install, and then we'll be completely dried in and can start doing electrical and plumbing and insulation. So I'm looking forward to that. See you guys next time.